The Shir is Eile Nishmas Manus Leiv ben Baruch. Elimelech ben Levi Yitzchak, Osher Shmuel Chaim ben Ephraim, Esther Basara, Tzvi Dov ben Chaim Pesach, William and Helen, Rochel bas Yosef, David ben Avraham, Fred ben Richard, Yitzchak ben Sarah, Devorah bas Yitzchak, Avraham ben Mordechai David, Ruvain ben Shmuel, Chana Golda bas Yisrael, Shoshana bas Elchanan, Yeshua ben Shmuel, Chaim ben Fege, Yaakov ben Yitzchak, Mordechai Netzach ben Rivka, Zalman Lei ben Moshe, Chaim Aliya ben Yosef Moshe, Amichai ben Yaakov, Gedalia ben Tzvi Ruvain, Leila Nishmatam. Today's shir is Avraham's dilemma and my dilemma, to leave elderly parents to make Aliyah. Lingy, did I do the right thing? I left elderly parents behind in Brooklyn and I made Aliyah. So my dilemma was Avraham Avinu's dilemma. So did I. And your dilemma, right? Did we do the right thing or not? Stay tuned. Right? But before we begin, you know that the Jewish fathers don't get enough credit. You ever notice that, Shelley? Jewish fathers do not get enough credit. This fourth grader comes home from school and he says, Mommy, I got a part in the Hanukkah play. Hanukkah play that the school is putting on, Ruvain, fourth grader. Yankala got a part. So his mother said, what part did you get, Yankala, in the Hanukkah play? So he says, I got the part of a Jewish father. So his mother says, next time ask for a speaking part. Okay. All right, one more or not? All my stories are true, but some didn't happen yet, Avram. This guy was shopping with his mother-in-law at the Supersal, King George and Agron, and she was caught shoplifting. It happens. She was arrested. So the police brings her to the judge. The judge asked her, what did she steal? So the judge says, so the policeman said she stole 6 oranges. She's shopping with her son-in-law. She got caught stealing 6 oranges. The judge says, 6 oranges, 6 days in jail. There's a voice in the back of the room says, I have something to say. So the judge says, who are you? He says, I'm the son-in-law who was there at the time. Your Honor, I must tell the truth. She also stole 89 cherries. 89 more days. Okay, I give up. He has to be honest, you know. Honest, right? Son-in-law has to be honest, right? So anyway, if you take a look at your sheets on side A, the mitzvah of kibbut avayim conflicts with making Aliyah. It was my dilemma, Avraham Avinu's dilemma. Side number A, honor your father and your mother. One of the 10 Commandments, if you look at the Torah Tamima, Kavod Savicha, Tanya Rav Shimon Bechai Yomer, it's underlined Torah Tamima. Rav Shimon Bechai Omer, you have that, Kavod Savicha. Rav Shimon Bechai says, Godol Kavod Avayim, honoring parents is so great, She'edifa Kodesh Baruch Hu Yote Michvodo. You see who I'm reading, Chava? You don't have a paper? You ran out of the paper. Oh, no more papers? What? I'm reading the paper here. Kavod Savicha, see that in the footnote, Torah Tamima. Tanya Shimon Bechai Yomer, Godol Kavod Avayim. Look how great honoring parents is. She'edifa Kodesh Baruch Hu Yote Michvodo. Yiddish Avraham. God says honoring parents is even more important than what? Than honoring God. It's pretty amazing. Please open the window because it's very hot. But God says honoring parents is even greater than what? Than honoring God. How do we know that? Shebekoved HaKodesh Baruch Hu Ne'emar. When it comes to honor God, it's a posuk in Mishlei, Kabet es Hashem mohoinecha. Honor God from your wealth. Im yeshlach ata chayav, vim lav ata patur. Mishlei 3 says you have to honor God from your wealth. If you have money, then you have to buy a nice lulav, esrik, tefillin, talit. But if you ain't got money, you're potter. You don't have to buy a fancy esrig or tefillin. You're not supposed to spend more than 20%, thank you, Moshe, of your income on any positive mitzvah. You know that? If your tefillin is going to cost you more than 20%, Ira, of your income, you don't have to buy a pair of tefillin. By honoring God only when you have money. When it comes to honoring parents, even if you don't have any money and you have to go begging from door to door, you have to do it in order what? To honor your parents. So God says, you shall me pay ya. Goldie, you shall me pay ya. Who says this to Rashbi? That God says honoring parents is even greater than what? Than honoring God. The question is why? Why is honoring parents greater than honoring God? Why is that? Well, the Gemara in Kiddushin and Nida tells us that every human being has 3 parents. Did you know that, Moshe? 3 parents. Who are the 3 parents? Kodesh Baruch Hu, father and mother. God supplies the soul, and the father and the mother supply what? The body. Right? So, the Chofetz Chaim says that God puts himself together with the human parents. So therefore the Chofetz Chaim says as follows, it's 2 against 1. You like that, John, right? Human parents are 2. God is 1. 2 against 1. So therefore honoring human parents is what? Greater. Beryl's unbelievable. And the mitzvah goes on and on. Even after death you can honor your parents, what you're doing right now. Sponsoring a shir for his memory, saying Kaddish, you're honoring him. So, the Chofetz Chaim says that honoring parents, God puts himself in the category of human parents. So therefore, the Chofetz Chaim says that every time you honor your human parents, you're also honoring what? God. It's a package deal. And every time you dishonor your human parents, you're also dishonoring the divine parent. Because God says we're all partners in creating a human being. So every human being has 3 parents actually. So according to this, did I do the right thing? Did Avraham do the right thing? If honoring parents is greater than honoring God, so how do you honor God? By making Aliyah, by putting on tefillin, right? But the question is, if your parents tell you don't put on tefillin, so who should you listen to? What? God. But why? Chava, we just said that honoring what? Parents is greater.
But they
so
they have to also let God.
Okay.
They're violating
Yeah. The mitzvah of Shabbat Yonatan is next door to what? To the mitzvah of Kibbut Avayim. Why? There are many reasons. What's the connection? So one reason is that even if your parents are no longer in this world, they're in the Shabbos world, Shabbat is a symbol of life after death. So the Riyah Kodesh says, why is the mitzvah of honoring parents next to Shabbat? That even though your parents are no longer in the physical world, where are they? In the Shabbos world. Shabbos, symbol of life after death. You still have to honor them. So how do you honor them after death? By saying Kaddish, studying Torah. So Yonatan, but you're saying that what? That if your parents tell you to be Mechal Shabbat, you're not supposed to listen. Right? But why? If honoring parents is greater than honoring God, you shall me pay her, Rabbi says. So why shouldn't you listen?
But if your parents are Bonnie and Clyde, you're not going to listen to them.
So let's take a look, okay? Let's take a look at this. If you turn over the paper to the other side. It looks like the Torah is engaged in a cover-up. The last pasuk in Parshas Noach. You have that, Leah? The last pasuk in Parshas Noach. V'hi yemei Terach. Terach lived how many years? 205 years, and Terach died in Haran. And then it says, Lech Lecha. Is that what really happened?
You said
No. See, if you don't know the oral Torah, the written Torah, it can be confusing. If you look at source number 3, the Yomas Terach B'Charan. I'm reading Rashi, source number 3. When did Terach really die? Avram left his parents in Haran and he came to the land of Canaan, Terach continued to live another 60 years in a nursing home in Haran, or maybe in an old age home. How do we know? So Rashi figures it out. Avraham was 75 years old when he left his parents in Haran. Terach died when he was what? 205. That means when Avraham left him, Terach was only 145 years old. Who's good in math? So there still remain how many years? 60 years that Terach continued to live in Haran. So why does the Torah, V'lama higdim, you see where it says cover up, Chava, source number 3? V'lama higdim ha'kotev mitzvot shel Terach, mitzvot shel Avram. Why does the Torah say that Terach died and then Avraham left him? It's not so. Terach continued to live for another 60 years before Avraham what? Left him. So you see, if you read the written Torah, John, you're all mixed up. If you ain't got the oral Torah, you're going nowhere. Nowhere, man. So the oral Torah proves that Terach continued to live another 60 years after Avraham had left him. So why does the Torah confuse me, Ira? Why? The Torah didn't want to publicize the matter. What matter? What kind of son is he? Leaving old parents in Borough Park, in Haran, and making Aliya, Sheniya Zakein. He left old parents and he made Aliyah. So people shouldn't talk. What will the neighbors say, Shirley? Lefikach kosev met. Therefore, the Torah calls what? That he's dead. Even though he was not really dead. But people shouldn't talk. What kind of son is Avraham? Leaving old parents behind in Haran and making Aliyah. So therefore the Torah writes that he died, and then Avraham left, even though he continued to live for another 60 years. So why is it, if making Aliyah is the right thing to do, Avraham, so why is the Torah covering up for him? Why is the Torah covering up for him? Look at source number 2. God says, I give you the land, lachuzat olam. See Rashi, lachuzat olam, how important it is to live in Israel. Source number 2, v'shomei Elohem le'Elohim. Where will I be a God for the Jewish people? In the land of Israel. Avol ben Yisrael hadar b'chutz la'aretz. If a Jewish person lives in chutz la'aretz, kimi she'ein lo Elohai. You see that? Source number 2? It's like he has what? No God. So therefore, Avraham did the right thing, that he left his parents. So how come the Torah has to cover up for him? Year 8, a question we have to deal with. Look at source number 1. See source number 1? Pashas Bahar, Ani Hashem Elokeichem, Asher Atzeisi Yeschem Eretz Mitzrayim, I am Hashem your God, who took you from the land of Egypt, Los Es Lachem Es Eretz Canaan, to give you the land of Canaan, Lios Lachem Le'Elohim, to be for you for a God. So Rashi quotes the Chazal in source number 1, Lios Lachem Le'Elokim. You see that? Shekol Adar Be'eretz Yisrael and Eloi Elokim. Anyone who lives in Israel, God says, I'm his God. But if you leave the land of Israel, Moshe, you have that? Yeah. Fax that to Lakewood. So, living in Israel is the most important mitzvah. You want to have a relationship with God, a real relationship, it's only Israel. So therefore, Avraham did the right thing. So why does the Torah have to what? Cover up for him and say what? His parents died. When they didn't. So it's the Torah didn't want the matter to be publicized, headlines in the Jewish press. Avraham leaves aged parents behind in Lakewood, in an old age home, makes Aliyah. It's not nice. So therefore, the Torah says that they died even though they continued to live for many years. But if Avraham did the right thing, and if I did the right thing, then why would the Torah have to what? Cover it up. So let's talk, okay? Are children permitted to make Aliyah despite their parents' objections? Or does fulfilling the mitzvah to honor one's parents take precedence over what? Over the mitzvah of living in Israel? Okay? Now, certain mitzvahs you can do to a shliach. What do I mean? There's a mitzvah to make kiddush every Friday night. There's a mitzvah to read the Megillah, to hear the shofar. Someone else can do it for me. So can I make a shliach for me to live in Israel? No. Because living in Israel is a mitzvah shebegufo. Can I make you a shliach to put on tefillin for me, David? Can I make you a shliach to put on tefillin for me tomorrow morning? Do me a favor. Put on tefillin for me. But I can make you a shliach to shecht for me, to blow shofar for me. I can make you a shliach to what? To shecht the korban pesach, to make kiddush for me. So certain mitzvahs you can make a shliach, an agent, but certain mitzvahs, shebegufo, my body has to put on tefillin. My body has to live in Israel. So I can't do that mitzvah through what? With shliach. Okay? So the question is, did Avraham and myself do the right thing? Now, when I was back in Brooklyn, I was honoring my parents. Normally you say, osik b'mitzvah, ira, potem in a mitzvah. What does that mean? If I'm osik in the mitzvah of honoring my parents, I should be exempt from what? From making Aliyah. Osik b'mitzvah, potem in a mitzvah. You're occupied in one mitzvah, you're exempt from doing the other one. So does that apply to the mitzvah of what? Goal to making Aliyah. Stay tuned, okay? That's the question over here. So, does the mitzvah of honoring one's parents take precedence over the mitzvah of living in Israel or not? Okay? So let's see if we can work it out over here. There's a famous Gemara on Kiddushin, page 31. Rav Ami, a great sage, asked his Rebbe, Rabbi Yochanan, I have an old mother in Babylon, Long Island. Babylon. May I leave the Holy Land to pay her a visit? You hear this, Masha? You hear? Kiddushin, page 31. Perhaps this is the answer. Rav Ami, the great Amora, asked Rabbi Yochanan whether he can leave the Holy Land for the purpose of seeing his mother. So Rabbi Yochanan said, you can go, provided, Ruvain, you buy a round-trip ticket. So he gave him permission. As long as you buy a round-trip ticket, you can go to Babylon, Long Island to visit your ma, as long as you come back. So that's what Rabbi Yochanan told his student in Kiddushin, page 31. So we still don't know the answer, what? Now, it says, Kiddoshim Tiyu. Honor your parents, Ani Hashem Elokeichem. In Leviticus, Parshas Kiddoshim, it says, honor and fear your parents, Ani Hashem Elokeichem. What does Ani Hashem Elokeichem got to do with honoring your parents? So Rashi in Kiddushin says, if honoring your parents is so great, so maybe if your parents tell you to be Mechala Shabbat, or not to put on tefillin, or to eat non-kosher, perhaps you should listen to them, because honoring them is greater. There's Ani Hashem Elokeichem. You have to honor them, but Ani Hashem Elokeichem. Your parents also have to eat kosher. Your parents also have to put on tefillin. Your parents also have to live in Israel. So just like your parents cannot tell you, don't put on tefillin, and don't eat kosher, and don't shake a lulav on sukkah, so don't sit in the sukkah, they also cannot tell you, don't make Aliyah. So this is stated clearly in Maram Rottenberg, the Rebbe of the Rosh, was asked this question, and he says that the mitzvah to live in the land of Israel is what? Greater than the mitzvah of what? Of honoring your parents. Because why? Just like your parents cannot tell you, don't put on tefillin, they can't tell you what? Don't live in Israel. Because they're also obligated to what? To live in Israel. Okay? So just like parents and children or anyone they also have to make Aliyah. Just like they're obligated to eat kosher and put on tefillin, they're also obligated to what? To make Aliyah. So if they cannot tell you don't put on tefillin or don't sit in the sukkah on sukkahs, they cannot tell you what?
Not to do it.
Don't make Aliyah. They cannot tell you that. Because they're also obligated to honor God by eating kosher and sitting in a sukkah and making Aliyah. It's one of the Taryag Mitzvot. It's one of the Taryag Mitzvot, right?
They're sick and need you.
Okay, so we'll talk. We'll talk. If they're sick and they need you, okay. We'll talk, okay? We'll talk.
Why didn't the Rambam use
What?
into the 613 mitzvot?
Well, that's another issue. Why does the Rambam not put Kedoshim Tiyu in the 613 mitzvot? Kedoshim Tiyu. Be holy. It's a pasuk in the Torah. How come it's not in the mitzvah? So the Rambam explains, I only categorize pratim, details. Something which is koilo kala Torah kula.
Right. Aliyah is one of them.
So the Chazonish says, the Chazonish, right? He said, just like the Rambam doesn't count Kedoshim Tiyu as a mitzvah, because that's the end game. The purpose of all mitzvahs is Kedoshim Tiyu, to be holy. So that's why the Rambam doesn't count what? Living in Israel, because that's the end game. It's not a mitzvah, it's koilo kala Torah kula. Just like Kedoshim Tiyu, being holy, is not categorized as a mitzvah, because the Rambam says that's the end game. So Chazonish says that's for the same reason that the Rambam doesn't count living in Israel as a mitzvah, not because it's less. It's not a prat, it's not a detail, it's the end game. The purpose of all mitzvahs is to be holy and to do them where?
In Eretz Yisrael.
It therefore can't be categorized as a mitzvah either, because it's what? It's a sum total.
The whole package.
It's a package. The purpose of all mitzvahs is to be holy and to live in Eretz Yisrael. So now, so the question is, in Pashas Lech Lecha, the Medrash says that Avraham's dilemma was exactly, God says, make Aliyah, right? So Avraham was afraid and he said, if I leave my old parents behind in Haran, it'll be a chilul Hashem. What will people say? Such a son, he's so religious, he's a Haredi. He leaves what? His parents and makes Aliyah. So Avraham, so therefore God says, don't worry, I'm going to cover up for you. I'm going to say that Terach and Mrs. Terach died in Haran, and then you left, even though they continued to live in an old age home in Lakewood, in Haran, another 60 years. So I'll cover up for you. But the question is, Sarah, if Avraham did the right thing, and making Aliyah as a mitzvah, like any mitzvah, and your parents cannot tell you to do any mitzvah, so why cover it up? Okay, we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about that. Because at the time when Hashem told Avraham to make Aliyah, Yiddish Masha, living in the land of Israel was not yet a mitzvah. The land of Israel did not yet have the Kedusha of Eretz Yisrael. When did Eretz Yisrael attain its Kedusha? Who said that? Beautiful, Moshe, you get a star. Tosos and Gittin says that Eretz Yisrael attained its Kedusha only when Joshua and the IDF conquered the land of Israel. Then Israel received its special Kedusha, sanctity of the land, and the mitzvah kicked in. That's right, after the Torah was given. But when God told him, make Aliyah, there was still no mitzvah to live in Israel. It didn't have its Kedusha. So it might be a chilul Hashem. So therefore God had to what? Cover up for him. You hear this? So what's the message here? Tosfot and Gittin? That only after the IDF conquered the land, then the land became holy. It's through conquest. The IDF under Yeshua ben Nun sanctified the land. But when Avraham was told to make Aliyah, it didn't have yet that Kedusha. The Torah wasn't given. There wasn't a mitzvah yet of what? of living in Israel. So it might be a chil Hashem. Where you going? There's no mitzvah to live in Israel. So therefore God had to cover up. There should not be what? A chil Hashem. Okay? Pretty interesting, huh? Okay. So just like your parents cannot tell you to transgress any mitzvah, because they're also obligated to do the mitzvah, they also cannot tell you what? Not to make Aliyah. They cannot stop you from doing any mitzvah, because they're also obligated in the mitzvah, and therefore they also have to what? Make Aliyah, if they can. But if not, they cannot stop you. And we'll talk about if they need you. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about it. Stay tuned, okay? We'll talk. Now, what about women? Are women obligated to live in Israel or not? Now, women are not obligated to put on tefillin or tzitzit or hear the shofar. You know that? Why? Because it's a time-bound mitzvah, right, Leah? Women are not obligated for tzitzis, for tefillin, for shofar, for sukkah. The arba minim, women are exempt. Because time-bound mitzvot, women are exempt. Because they have more important things to do, says God. Take care of your family. Incredible. That's why women are exempt from time-bound mitzvot. Tosfot in Kiddushin says that. Because there's something more important than doing mitzvot, God says. Taking care of your family. God says that's more important. So therefore, women are released and exempt from time-bound mitzvot. But mitzvot which are not time-bound, like what? Like what? Like mezuzah or making Aliyah, women are obligated. The mitzvah for mezuzah is not a time-bound mitzvah. It's not like tefillin and talit, which is time-bound. Having a mezuzah on your door, you're 24/7. That you can do anytime. That doesn't interfere with your family responsibilities. So, one second. So living in Israel, says the Rishonim, is a mitzvah saseh shelo hazman grama. It's a positive mitzvah which is not time-bound. It's like what, Moshe? Mezuzah, 24/7 you have to live in Israel. Not like in Sukkah. Sukkah you only have to live 7 days a year. 1 second, we'll talk. Masha, you're asking good questions. Give me a chance. 10-lead chance. 10-lead chance. 10-lead hizdamnut. Okay? So therefore, since living in Israel is a mitzvah saseh shelo yazman groma, it's not time-bound. Women are also what? Obligated to live in Israel. So Masha asked a great question. What about lighting candles on Friday night? What about Hanukkah? It's coming up. It's a time-bound mitzvah. And we just said that women are exempt from time-bound mitzvah. Hanukkah is only 8 days a year. And lighting candles Friday night is only what? Friday night. And Purim is also a time-bound mitzvah. So how come women are what? Obligated. Every rule, Masha, has what? An exception. The rule is that women are exempt from time-bound mitzvahs. But there are exceptions, like lighting candles Friday night. Why do women have to do that? Because candles Friday night enhances Shalom Bayit. Where did the concept of a romantic candlelight dinner, Jonathan, you know? Where does the romantic candlelight dinner come from? From us, says the Rambam, in chapter 30, Halacha Shabbat. He says, you light candles Friday night, I'm in the mood for love, simply because you're near me. The Rambam on Friday night, it's lovey-dovey time. So a candlelight dinner puts you in the mood. Rambam, chapter 30, Halacha Shabbat. So the lady has that responsibility. Because Shalom Bayis depends on her. So therefore she's obligated in Friday night candles, even though it's time-bound. What about Hanukkah? The whole miracle happened because of the women. Yehudit, the daughter of the high priest. And Purim, the whole miracle happened because of Esther. So since women were instrumental in the Hanukkah and the Purim miracle, They were the heroines, so therefore they're obligated, even though it's what? Time bound. Okay?
Rabbi, what about when you light candles, Leil Shabbat?
Right.
You feel like you're part of the whole Jewish people. We're all doing it together.
That's right. But you're bringing Shalom Bayit into the home.
I understand.
The glow. Right? You're bringing the Shekhinah in. And it's up to the women, because women are more godlike. When you light candles Friday night, you're bringing in the Neshama Yetera, the extra dose of godliness. Since women are more godlike, the word Shekhinah, the word Torah, the word Mitzvah, the word Neshama is all feminine. Women are more godlike, so they have the responsibility to light the Friday night candle, which symbolizes the glow of the Shekhinah, the Neshama Yetera. How do you say that in English? The extra godly soul which comes to Jewish people on Friday night. It's the woman's obligation, because she's more in touch with her soul. Therefore, whether you're Jewish or not, Leah, doesn't depend on your father. Your father could be the Baal Shem Tov of Nachman of Breslov. Does that make you Jewish?
No.
The mama. Not the papa. The papa could be Moshe Rabbeinu. Does it make you Jewish, Ira?
No.
The mama. The Jewish soul is routed through the mother, because women are closer to Hashem. They're more in touch with their soul. So whether you're Jewish or not only depends on the mama. The mamas and not the papas. Okay?
Yeah.
So where were we? So, now, so we see that what? So just like your parents cannot tell you not to sit in the sukkah and not to shake a lulav and esrog, they cannot tell you not to make Aliyah. Because it's a mitzvah in the Torah, and according to Rambam, it's greater than any mitzvah. And it's the pedestal which all mitzvahs rest on. And based on this, just like parents cannot tell you not to make Aliyah, so God had to cover up for Abraham, Moshe, because at the time when he told it, there was no mitzvah to live in Israel. Israel didn't have the Kedusha until Yeshua ben Nun and the IDF conquered and infused with Kedusha. So when God told Abraham, there was no mitzvah yet. So it looked like a Chil Hashem, so therefore God had to what? Cover up for him. Okay? So according to this, the Shulchan Aruch and Yeredeya, Siman Reish Mem rules that just like parents cannot tell you not to make Aliyah, they cannot tell you which yeshiva you should go to. Yiddish, if children say, I want to go to this yeshiva, and the parents say, I want you to go to that yeshiva, you don't have to listen. You hear this? And the same thing with prayer. If the parents say, I want you to pray with me in this shul, and the child says, no, I feel better in a Kalbach minyan, the child does not have to listen to his parents. Yeredeya Siman Reish Mem. You hear this? Parents can't say, I want you to daven in my shul. I want you to go to my yeshiva. If a child feels more comfortable davening in a different minyan or in a different yeshiva, then he doesn't have to listen. Isn't that incredible? Because where he feels comfortable, he'll be able to what? Closer to God. So the parents cannot interfere with his bonding with Hashem. It is golden. Okay? Okay. So, what about the question that Masha asked me? I didn't forget, Masha. Your parents need you, and what's the question?
They need you to take.
Can you leave them, right? So actually, the Rambam deals with this question. The Rambam deals with this question. And the question hangs on, Moshe, whether honoring parents is a mitzvah shebegufoy or not. Yiddish Yonatan, is honoring parents a mitzvah like what? A mitzvah like blowing shofar, where I can make an agent to do it for me? The mitzvah to blow the shofar in Rosh Hashanah. I don't know how to blow. You blow for me, Avraham. It's like a shliach. So the Rambam asked the question, is honoring parents like blowing shofar or making kiddush Friday night, where you can do it like to a shliach, or is it a mitzvah like what? Putting on tefillin. Or Aliya, where you cannot make what? A shliach. Here's the question, Masha, that the Rambam deals with. And the Rambam says as follows, that honoring parents can be done through a shliach. You hear this? Elishev, I'm glad you came today.
Great.
The Rambam says that honoring parents can be done through a shliach. So if your parents need care, you cannot leave them and make Aliyah unless you hire somebody as your agent to take care of them, and then you're still doing the mitzvah. Because honoring parents is not like putting on tefillin. It's not like what? Living in Israel, which is a mitzvah shebegufoi. It's a mitzvah like blowing shofar or making kiddush and havdalah, where you can do it through what? A shliach. Now, of course, the mitzvah to do it yourself is much greater. Even though you can appoint a shliach, still a bigger mitzvah to me to blow shofar myself. Now, I don't know how to circumcise my son. I appointed a shliach to circumcise my son. The Torah says the father should circumcise his son. Yes, but I appointed a shliach because when I see blood, I faint. So a person's agent is like what? Himself. But still, it's much better if you're able to do it yourself. So if I could have circumcised myself, it would have been better. But I couldn't. So I appointed an agent. So it's almost. So the same thing, of course, it's better to honor your parents yourself. But if it interferes with you making Aliyah, then you can appoint a shliach to act on your behalf. You hire somebody, right? So you're doing the mitzvah through a shliach, which is almost as good. It's not like putting on tefillin or living in Israel. There you cannot appoint a shliach. There it has to be my body. But the Rambam says that honoring parents is like blowing shofar or making kiddush and havdalah, where it can be done through what? A shliach. Of course, it'd be better I can blow shofar myself, Rabbi Yaakov. Right? But if I can't, I can appoint an agent. So the Rambam says that living in Israel is what? A mitzvah living in Israel, the mitzvah cannot be done through an agent, whereas Avraham, taking care of parents is a mitzvah that can be done through a shliach. So if you hire somebody to take care of them, it's like you're doing it yourself, almost as good, okay? The halacha is, in the Shulchan Aruch, the woman wants to make Aliyah from Borough Park, and he doesn't want. So the halacha is that he must divorce her and pay her the full ketubah. You hear this? Shulchan Aruch, Simon Even Ezra, Ayin Hey. The wife wants to make Aliyah, and he says, no, I want to remain in Flatbush or in Lakewood. The halacha is, Simon Ayin Hey in the Shulchan Aruch, Even Ezra, he must divorce her and pay her what? The full ketubah. If the other way around, the husband wants to make Aliyah, and she says, no, I like Borough Park better. He divorces her, and she forfeits her ketubah. Even today, the mitzvah to live in Israel is the greatest mitzvah of all. You eat what? What? What were you saying?
What happens when you leave your children in America and the parents come here?
Oh, so that's the other way around. So you can go visit, but as long as you buy a round-trip ticket, right? Like Rabbi Yochanan told his student Ravami, he wants to visit his mother in Babylon, Long Island. He says you can go and visit as long as you buy a round-trip ticket. Make sure that what? That you come back. That you come back, yes?
Okay, about making Aliyah, let's say your parents say you can't make Aliyah.
Right.
I said, what about me and my children?
Right.
And if we don't, and same thing.
You can't leave them unless if they need help, you have to appoint an agent to take care of them.
But then I say,
Then you can go.
okay, but then I would say,
And they cannot say no.
but my children say, but we want to go, and if I say no, eventually there'll be nobody going to Israel, and that's our mistake in the past, I think.
Yeah.
If we should honor our children because they can have children.
Doesn't say nowhere honor your children. It says honor your parents.
I know, but
Does it say anywhere honor your children?
No, but
What?
at the same time, what he's saying is that
What?
they're thinking of the future. They're the future generation.
There is no future for the Jewish people outside of Israel. Look what's happening all over the world. You have a future in Europe. The Jews thought they had a future in Germany.
That's what
And in France, they thought they have a future.
yeah, but
Right?
yeah, but I was saying that we
In
should-
Canada, they think, what, David?
Where
Yeah.
are all the yeshivas and kollels supposed to raise money if all the Jews want to North
Yeah, that is.
And where would they all raise money, right?
They're not going to get any money, right?
No money, no honey. No, what? Yes?
Okay, I have a question.
Yes?
Torah, it says-
What?
In the Torah, it says the regalim, Pesach, Shavuot, and Sukkot.
Yeah.
Halacha to be here.
The Jews have to come make Aliyah to the Beit HaMikdash.
Not even talking about that.
Yeah.
What about them that live here or are yeshiva buffers or whatever?
Right.
And they go back for regalim to Shmutzlah.
That's
Okay, and it's not a minhag. And they
Right.
say, well, my parents want me, my brother wants.
So that's the thing. If parents say, come home,
That's not, I mean,
do you have to listen?
no.
Leah?
saying you are.
No. Just like they can't say, don't sit in the sukkah. Can they say that? They can't say, don't live in Israel.
Okay, but
You don't have to listen. But you have to be respectful. You can't say, you have to say sorry. You have to be respectful. You have to explain to them.
These are religious people from birth that read the Torah all the time, and it's
Right.
not fair. It's not a minhag.
Okay. I don't know.
I
You're
don't get
right.
it from.
All right. So you have to ask them, not me, right?
Well, you're my rabbi.
Right?
You're my rabbi.
Rabbi, you know
Right.
the definition of a good Zionist?
What?
You know the definition of a good Zionist?
What's a deaf and good Zionist?
I mean, it's a joke. To raise money to send somebody else to live here.
Uh-huh. But it's a mitzvah you can't do through a shliach. Masha, it's a mitzvah. Living in Israel is a mitzvah shebegufo. It's not like making kiddush that you can appoint an agent or havdalah, right? My body has to do it. So when I made Aliyah, Baruch Hashem, my parents said, you're doing the right thing. So I felt better. They said, you're doing the right thing. Right? But I used to go visit. They were alive. I went to visit them. And I went to visit them. But the Chafetz Chaim says something amazing. The Chafetz Chaim says something amazing. Since every human being has three parents, God, father, and mother, so the Chafetz Chaim says, as every time that you do a mitzvah for God, you're also honoring your human parents. Do you know this, Beryl? Chafetz Chaim said, it's not me. God says we're a package deal. Every human being has three parents. Gemara in Kiddushin, Gemara Nida, page 31. Human being has three parents, God, father, and mother. So Chafetz Chaim says it's a bargain. Buy one, get three. Every time you do a mitzvah for God, you're also honoring what? Your human parents. And every time you do a mitzvah for human parents, you're also honoring what? The divine parent. Jews love bargains. Yehuda, Chanoch, buy one, get three. The Chafetz Chaim, you can take it to the bank. So every time I put on tefillin, Leah, who am I honoring? Just to hear this chiddush, Yonatan. I put on tefillin, I'm wearing tzitzis. Chafetz Chaim says you're not just honoring the big boss, you're honoring human parents too. And when you honor human parents, you're also honoring your heavenly parent, because it's a package deal. Buy one, get three. So, when you make Aliyah, you're not just honoring God, you're honoring what? Even though they don't realize it. Ira, is that a big chiddush? Glad you came back in today. You hear this chiddush? Chafetz Chaim, not me. Buy one, get three.
And you do that.
What?
You do that even
So the reason God had to cover up, because when God told him to do that, there was no mitzvah yet to live in Israel. Where is he going? Right? There's no mitzvah of Israel when 3,800 years ago Torah was not given yet. So it shouldn't be a chil Hashem. God covered up. But today you don't need a cover up. Your parents should be proud of you. When you make Aliyah, when you do any mitzvah, you're putting on tefillin, you're honoring your human parents as well. You didn't know that, Yehuda. Tell me the truth. You knew that? When you put on tefillin, you're honoring human parents too?
it's the same
Right.
when you die.
Well, even after death. Even after death. How do I know that? So the Aliya Kodesh said, Yonatan mentioned before, why does the mitzvah of honoring parents next door to Shabbat in the Ten Commandments? When the two psukim in the Torah next door, they have to have a strong connection. Why in the Ten Commandments does the Torah put honoring parents next to Shabbat? What's the connection? So the Aliya explains, Shabbat is the symbol of life after death. That even when your parents are no longer in this world, where are they? In a Shabbos world, you still have to honor them. But they're dead. How do you honor them? Anytime you do a mitzvah, you're honoring them.
Even if you don't.
Even when they're dead, they're dead, because the neshama lives forever. So every time you dedicate a shir, say Kaddish, or according to Chofetz Chaim, anytime you do any mitzvah for the divine parent, you're also honoring the human parents even after death. Wow. How much God loves us. 3 for 1. Jews love bargains, right, Jonathan? 3 for 1 and 1 for 3. Right?
Rabbi.
You know, why did God give us 2 Torah, Jonathan? We got 2 Torahs, the written and the oral, right? Why 2? So the Medrash says before God came to give us the Torah, he went shopping to the UN and the EU. And they all turned him down. The Medrash Rabbi says that. I'm not making this up. He went shopping and they all turned him down. He came to the Jewish people and he says, Jews, I have something good for you. The first question a Jew asked, how much does it cost? God said it's free. So the Jews said, God, if it's free, we'll take 2. Written in the oral.
Rabbi,
Yes.
you asked me a question. You didn't give me opportunity to answer.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I'm answering your question to me with a question.
Go ahead. Why not?
Does the father have the right to tell his wife and his young children, I'm going to live in some dangerous area here, surrounded by Arabs, and I want you and little children to come with me? Does he have a right to do that? Is he endangering their lives? And does she have a right to say, no, I don't want to endanger my children's lives?
So you're saying not to move to Israel? And you're safe in Europe? You're safer in Europe? In France, you're safer?
I'm asking you a question where the danger is far greater.
What's called danger? So don't cross the street. Why are you crossing the street? Maybe your car will lose control of the brakes. You can't live your life in fear.
He gives a wife a ticket and
There
she's
certainly is a
along
greater
with all the
danger.
kids and he leaves.
There
He's
certainly
saying
is a-
that's
So don't leave your house. Don't walk outside in the street. You might get run over.
I didn't ask you the question. I'm asking the rabbi the question. So please-
What's called a reasonable danger? You have to live your life and trust in Hashem. Of course, you can't go bungee jumping without a parachute. Can you do that?
There's no difference.
No, but if you have a parachute, you can jump out. You rely on Hashem. You do as
There's
you...
no difference between living in a war zone and living
Where's a war zone? It's safer in Israel than anywhere in Europe. What are you talking about?
in a war zone. I'm talking about
Let's say Hebron and Toronto.
Hebron where?
Hebron and Toronto, let's say.
Hebron and Toronto. There's no mitzvah to live in Toronto.
Yeah, but
Right? There's a mitzvah to live in Eretz Yisrael. So you don't have to live in Hebron. You can live in Rehavia. Right?
You're saying the mother has no right to say that I don't want my children living in a war zone.
The mother can say, I'd rather live in Rehavia, not in Hebron.
Okay, but the father says, I'm not living.
What?
I'm living on a hilltop.
Yeah. As long as you're living in Israel, right? Doesn't matter where. As long as you're living in Israel, you do the mitzvah. Right?
If the husband says, I want to go to Israel, well, the wife says, I'm not going to go and I'm not letting you take the kids. And he goes.
So according to halacha, he has to divorce her without a get.
Without giving her any money.
That's what the halacha says. That
He
he.
leaves a woman with 3 children.
So she should go with him, right? She wants to make aliyah and he doesn't. Then he has to pay her the full ketubah.
I'm saying.
If the man wants to make aliyah and she doesn't,
Yeah.
then he divorces her and she forfeits a ketubah because you have to live in Israel. Let's say the wife says, "This sukkah, we're not sitting in a sukkah." It is Leah. I forbid you to sit in a sukkah this year. Tomorrow morning, hubby, I don't want you to put on tefillin.
That's different.
Tonight we're going to a treifa restaurant.
Well, you're not being fair by
So the husband's allowed to listen?
No, but
So the wife can't say don't make aliyah. It's like saying don't put on tefillin. Don't blow shofar on Rosh Hashanah.
You're not putting children in danger.
No, in the sukkah.
Jewish people
I don't think that's not
not worried.
Sitting in a sukkah can be dangerous too.
Not worried about
Sitting in a sukkah can be dangerous. No? Don't sit, the wife says, don't take the kids into the sukkah, Avraham, it's dangerous. Does the husband listen?
So you're
No.
sitting in a sukkah.
Living in Israel. Live in Rechavia. Pisgat Zev.
But he doesn't want to live in
Rabbi, I think what he's asking is something. I
Yeah,
think what he's asking, if I can.
right.
Excuse me,
Rabbi, excuse me.
I'm not answering your question, I'm just saying something. 2 minutes. I think what this man is asking.
Ira.
Ira is asking is something where they're both here, right, in Israel. Both the husband and wife are here in Israel, right? And then, what you're asking?
The husband came on his own to Israel and said, I want
I'm
you to come.
sorry, I didn't understand. I thought you were saying that the husband and wife were here,
No.
and he wanted to go to somewhere that was very dangerous, and she would, like...
No, then the wife can say, I agreed to come, but we have to live in a safer place. But she can't say that she's not coming to Israel. If she does say that, she forfeits a ketubah. That's the halacha.
3 kids.
What?
Raised by herself, and she doesn't get any money.
So let her come to Israel. So let her come to Israel. Is she an Orthodox woman? So she tell her husband, don't sit in the sukkah. I forbid you, Ruvain, to sit in the sukkah. Does the hubby listen? Of course not. So the same thing with Israel.
Say if the wife wants to go.
I think it's not. I think it's
The
not.
wife wants to go and the husband doesn't want to go. He has to give.
He has to give her to get and pay the full ksubah. If he doesn't want to go and she wants to go, he pays her the full ktubah. But if she doesn't want to go, she's going against the Torah. She refuses to make aliyah. She's a isha moredet. How do you say that in English? A rebellious woman. Isha moredet, and therefore she doesn't want to go. She forfeits her ketubah. Right? Any other questions? Thursday, 2 o'clock, we have current events and the Haftorah. Thursday at 2. Thank you.